Hello, once again, this is Bill Steffen. Thanks so much for joining me today. A lot to talk about. First of all, we've got some storms on the way for later today, and we've got a heat wave on the way too. Speaking of storms, though, take a look at this. The first ever severe thunderstorm warning for Juneau, Alaska was issued yesterday, and they actually had some severe weather up there. They had a 59-mile-an-hour wind gust at Skagway, 52 miles an hour at Echo Bay. Many gusts around 40 to 50 miles an hour. There was a cruise ship, Celebrity something or other, in the channel there, and that broke loose from its moorings and came crashing toward the shore there. That was kind of interesting. And there were some trees down around Lemon Park. There was some hail reported with it, and a canopy flew off at Twin Lakes. Juneau averages 1.9. Let me see if I get this right here. They had, in a 30-year period, they had 16 thunder showers. So that's about one every 2 years. And they've never had a severe thunderstorm warning before. So that a little excitement up there. I actually had lightning and thunder, and some places reporting some smaller hail as well. All right, we've got high temperatures that were greatly cool, or much cooler, near Lake Michigan. First of all, Grand Rapids had the hottest day of the year so far, reaching 89 degrees. We haven't had much rain around here, so the ground is really dry. And the sun can use most of its energy to heat air rather than evaporate water. Ionia, a touch farther away from the lake, did make it to 90 degrees. But look at this, the Holland Channel, the high temperature there was 74. And at the end of the pier at Muskegon, there's actually a thermometer out there, and they reported a high temperature of 70 degrees during the afternoon. So that's about a 20-degree difference between Grand Rapids and Muskegon there. 4 p.m., the wind at Alpena was southwest at 19 miles an hour. Then the lake breeze kicked in there, and of course that's a north or northeast wind off of Lake Huron. And their temperature fell 17 degrees in 1 hour. Their temperature went from 88 to 71. The wind turned to the north there at 12 miles an hour. So pretty interesting there. Crazy stuff going on up in Alpena, Michigan. The lake forecast for today looks like this. Those are the current temperatures here, water temperatures in the mid-50s to mid-60s. Hoffmaster's been running warmer than everybody else, but with the general east wind that we've had here, the lake has been pretty cool. Reed's Lake, though, was 75 when I checked it about midday today, and I would not be surprised with the heat that's coming that by the afternoons next week, Monday, thereabouts, perhaps we could be seeing water temperatures of 80 in some of the inland lakes here. So that'll be kind of pleasant. Waves should be generally 1 to 3 feet. The winds and waves, I have variable winds out. Winds may start out of the south and then shift around to the west or northwest as a line of thunderstorms comes through. So the winds will be moving around. Winds 10 to 15 knots. A knot is a nautical mile per hour, about 1.15 miles an hour. And waves could certainly be higher than that. One thing I want to point out, that if we get a line of thunderstorms with some strong winds along it, that could push the water toward the Michigan shore. And then as the storm passes by, that wind could slosh back, kind of like the water in a bathtub, toward Milwaukee. So you have to be really careful not to go swimming in Lake Michigan after you've had a severe thunderstorm with really strong winds. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. Okay, one more thing, a couple more things to pass along. Here's some good news on the visibility front with the smoke from the fires up in Winnipeg and that area up in Manitoba. Air quality will remain good in West Michigan. The rain's coming here later today and tonight should clear out a little bit of the smoke. We're down to 4 fires out of control. We were up at 8 about a week ago, so they're making progress. We've noticed more firefighters are coming to join the activity there, and that's because some of those other fires are winding down, so they've been able to release firefighters to work on some of the other fires that still need some help. The 6 water bombers are still, I love that term, water bomber. 47 helicopters they have going right now, and it's quite a show if you ever see them attack a fire like that. They go one right after another. They have a whole parade of them dropping water, and there's 3 other aircraft. That's down 1 from yesterday. There is a tropical storm off the coast of Mexico, And that tropical storm is called Eric. It could provide up to 12 inches of rain along the Mexican coast. That's northwest of Guatemala. And you can see the path the storm is going to take. It's going to actually move on land and then wash itself out over the mountains there. But there could be some significant flooding. This will be a kind of a minor hurricane. It won't be a major one with huge winds, but it will certainly cause some wind damage and some flooding and rain as it moves on shore. And again, that's about the only place where there's any activity in the world for tropical activity. In the Western Pacific, nothing going on. In the Atlantic, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, nothing going on. And of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's winter down there, so there's nothing going on. We'll take time out now and thank our two sponsors. Here's Michelle.
Thanks to Complete Care Concierge, LLC, the fast, efficient, and affordable cleaning service serving all of West Michigan with residential and commercial cleans. And here's a word from our other sponsor.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Well, here's a look at our headlines. Scattered showers and thunderstorms today. We have a chance of a strong or even severe thunderstorm. Most likely time for that would be during the afternoon or evening. Dry for most of Thursday and Friday, 90 degrees coming this coming weekend. In fact, I would not be surprised if a place or two made it all the way up into the mid-90s. This is really a good shot of hot air coming our way. Let's take a look at the severe weather situation and our sunrise and sunset times here. We gained one more minute, and that's the last minute we're going to gain. 6:03 on the sunrise, 9:24 on the sunset. Longest daylight of any day of the year is Friday. 70-degree sun angle above the southern horizon, so it climbs pretty high overhead now. Average high temperature is at 80, and like I said, that goes up to, I believe, 83 before it levels off and starts downward again here right around late July. Now let's take a look at the severe weather picture for us. Look at that. That's an orange area right over southern lower Michigan. That is an enhanced or level 3 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, and it runs from southern Michigan down through most of Indiana and southeast Illinois, down into Missouri. And SPC says a tornado threat would exist with a broken line of storms. Broken means about 2/3 coverage, moving across northern Indiana and southern Michigan. So we're going to have to certainly keep an eye on this. The next time that this outlook is updated is around 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to stay up and take a look at it. I have a thread on my blog at billsteffen.com. And if you want to check on that, I'll try and have that updated by around 2:30 a.m. or so. And we'll see if they change that outlook area at all. The slight risk area, or level 2, goes all the way up past US 10. And the level 1 outlook goes all the way up to the edge of the UP up there. So everybody in lower Michigan, this is the time to pay attention, especially those areas that are southeast of Grand Rapids. The enhanced areas runs from South Bend to Hastings to just north of Lansing and down to Ann Arbor and then to Toledo. So interesting. Primary threat is going to be wind damage, and there may also be some hail and the possibility for a couple of tornadoes in here as well. We move ahead Thursday and take a look at the severe weather outlook area. The main severe weather should shift off to the east, but look at that big dark green area off to the west of us. We'll certainly have to keep an eye on things a little bit here, as we do expect some thunderstorm activity, especially in the northern part of that outlook. I would say the area from North Dakota into northern Minnesota, the UP, may pick up another good thunderstorm or two here before we close out the week. But most of Thursday looks like it will turn out to be dry. In terms of rainfall, we're going to get a bunch of it around here. Wow. I would say after the dry period we've had, I think we've only had about 1/3 of an inch of rain at my house during this month. But if we can take a look at that 66-hour rainfall map, as you can see, that yellow and orange comes right into Michigan. You can see much of the Corn Belt area. That's from Nebraska, northern Kansas, eastward to Pennsylvania. Everybody keep picking up on some pretty good rain. Now let's zoom in a little bit to Michigan, and we'll show you that orange area up there is over 2 inches of rain. And even the dark green there is around 3/4 of an inch. So it means everybody's going to get some rain. I've got the chance of rain at 90%, but I could actually have gone 100%. And like I said, we could use the rain around here. Taking a look at the forecast here for today, high temperature at 81. Low in the morning is 68, kind of a warm night. A lot of people leaving the windows open if you don't have air conditioning. And you can see that chance of a shower or storm. Humidity is pretty high. Dew points ought to creep up to 70 here during the day today. And winds will be variable. Most of the day, 10 to 15 miles an hour, but winds certainly could be stronger than that in some of the thunderstorms that are coming on through. Taking a look at high temperatures across the area, we should see readings held down a little bit today because of the clouds and the rain. We should be up into the low 80s in most areas and inland areas, but as you go north of Grand Rapids, it falls into the 70s. And it will be a bit cooler near Lake Michigan, but not as much as it was the past few days. South Haven there still gets up to 75 here this afternoon. Milwaukee will have a northeast wind coming down the lake, and they'll probably hold in the 60s if you're within a couple of miles of the lake there. All right, taking a look at the forecast here for Thursday. We'll be able to show you that the temperatures here are a little bit on the cool side. We've got 78 for Grand Rapids, 70 for South Haven, so we cool off just a touch. And you can see up along the Lake Superior shoreline, temperatures are only in the 60s. Copper Harbor, a high of 60 here on Thursday. And then I want to show you one more day. Sunday will be one of the hot days we have here. And look at the temperatures, 73 for Grand Rapids. We'll see temperatures 84 at South Haven. Now, 84 is a warm temperature, but that's still about 10 degrees cooler than inland areas. So any of those days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, will all be hot days. And if you want to cool off, right by Lake Michigan is the place to be for sure. It will be a touch cooler near Lake Superior. Pleasant 76 there at Sault Ste. Marie. We'll take a look at the long range outlook here out to 5 days. Temperature 81 today, 78 on Thursday. We're mid-80s on Friday, 90 on Saturday, and 93 on Sunday. So if you're making plans for the weekend, keep in mind it's going to be hot out there. It's going to be on the humid side too, very muggy. And a lot of people will be jumping in the water here over the weekend. Chance of rain Thursday is 30%, but that is very early in the day. If you got some plans, it's a holiday, Juneteenth. For the afternoon or evening period, it should be dry. I think Friday should be dry and sunshiny. I can't totally rule out a thunder shower Friday night, but I expect that activity will probably stay about Houghton Lake to the north. There will be some pretty good thunderstorms probably passing by Sault Ste. Marie up to around the Wawa area here for Friday night. Wawa's about 150 miles north of Sault Ste. Marie in Ontario, Canada. Okay, let's move on here and take a look at the 8 to 14 day outlook. We're looking for temperatures here to still be on the warm side here, but the core of the heat moves off to the East Coast, where I mentioned yesterday that I could easily see a couple of 100-degree days in Washington, D.C. I could see Central Park, New York being 100 degrees a couple of days, and maybe one day at Boston. They can get an ocean breeze there like we get lake breezes here. But the temperatures will tend to slide back toward average here right at the very end of the month. So the main thing is watch out for heavy thunderstorms today. The above average rainfall may continue here into that last week of June. This is what we call a ring of fire, where you get high pressure in the upper atmosphere that solidifies itself over the southeastern U.S. and then moisture comes up from the Gulf of Mexico up through the Plain States and works its way around from North Dakota to Minnesota to Wisconsin to Michigan. So something we'll have to keep an eye on. Stay close to the latest forecast details. I'll be updating things, of course, at billsteffen.com. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
All right, we've got video today.
We do.
Someone sent us a video. Okay, so hi, Bill. This is a real video from some friends of ours on Pickerel Lake, south of Baldwin. It was a clear, calm afternoon a few days ago. They saw water swirling around in the lake and what looked like lights. At the end of the video, 4 or 5 pieces of their neighbor's dock were blown out of the water. UFO, or something weird weather related? Love your daily weather podcasts, Mike. All right, so let's have a
Well,
look.
let's take a look.
Yes,
I got an
we'll wait to see
idea.
what we saw.
Let's
And it's still going. Look at it. What would cause that?
I didn't see. Wow, that was.
Praise God, nobody was out on that dock. Yeah.
It folded.
Wow, isn't that
There
cool?
you go. What do you
It
think?
almost looked like a silvery fish that was spinning around there.
Yeah.
Okay, partly cloudy day. Did they say what month this was taken in or anything?
A few days ago.
Oh, a few days ago. Okay, so we're talking June. The sun's
Mhm.
really high in the sky. This is kind of like yeah, I didn't see any convective,
And it's still going. Look at it. What would cause that?
like just a silvery fish going around and around like that.
Sorry, I muted your last 20 seconds. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I think that's a dust devil over water.
Hmm.
And I don't know that I've ever seen one that good before, but that's happened before.
Mhm.
What you get is differential heating. The sun will heat, let's say, a parking lot or a beach or something like that, hotter than the surrounding area. So it starts to lift up and rise. And just like the water spinning down a bathtub drain, or the air spinning up in a tornado like that, it will tend to spin. And evidently, the air was warm enough out over the water there to sustain that motion right on across the water there. So that was most interesting. That's great video. I hope they hang on to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's have one more look.
And it's still going. Look at it. What would cause that?
I didn't see. Wow, that was.
Praise God, nobody was out on that dock. Yeah.
It folded.
If the air is going counterclockwise, then I might hazard a guess that they're looking toward the west or northwest. West, maybe. I don't know,
All right.
but that would be fun. Maybe we can get another email from Mike, and he can see if he can give me other anything else there. But that June is the month when the sun is highest in the sky. You're most apt to get dust devils, and instead of dust, it's water going out over the water there. So you're seeing the water kind of spin around in a circle. I'm assuming that the airflow is going counterclockwise. So that'd be the first thing I'd look at. I looked at the flag, and it looks like a counterclockwise flow there. But I would say that's a dust devil over water.
Well, very cool, Mike. Thank you for the video.
Yeah.
All right, some more MHSAA high school sports finals to catch you up on. The top finishers from West Michigan for girls softball were Hudsonville in Division I, Unity Christian and Calvin Christian in their divisions. Boys tennis, Forest Hills Northern in Division II state champs, and Holland Christian in Division IV state champs.
Neat.
Girls tennis, Forest Hills Northern in third place in their division. And boys track, Grand Haven in third, Reed City in third, South Christian state champs, and Kalamazoo Hackett runners up.
Normally, when you have a great team like that, you have a good coach that can motivate his team and everything else like that. So salute to the coaches too.
And West Ottawa and Kalamazoo Hackett doing well in girls track as well. All right, so we're still on the British and the War of 1812. June 18, 1812, the U.S. declared war on Britain, starting the War of 1812. The Battle of Fort Detroit was one of the early conflicts of the war. At the time, there were 700 people living in Detroit in about 160 houses, and the British held Detroit for over a year. They also captured Mackinac Island. There were 15,000 American deaths because of the war, and many of those were from disease.
Yeah, and that's true with any of these early wars that you see. Oftentimes, there are more people that die from the diseases than from the battles themselves. But that is interesting.
All right, here's your British quiz. This
Okay.
British rock star was born June 18, 1942. He turns 83 today. Happy birthday. He is one of the most successful songwriters and performers of all time, with 43 of the songs he wrote selling over 100 million records each. If you don't know the answer, ask for some help, or maybe you should just let it be.
Okay, let's go. Let's go with Paul McCartney, who really is a great songwriter. 83 he is, huh?
Yeah, good for him.
No, it's still going strong.
Yeah, happy birthday, Paul McCartney. What do you know about the Beatles?
Let's see. Best was the drummer, correct?
Honestly, I don't know. I hate to say they were before my time, and I don't know.
Yes, I think Best was the drummer, and he was replaced by Ringo.
Yep, Ringo. I remember that name from
Yep,
making this up.
and then of course you had John Lennon, Paul McCartney, who were probably and then George Harrison, and
Yeah, you got them. That's the 4 that I had.
oh, okay. I thought in the pre-days, Ringo Starr was the last one to join the group.
Now, for those of you who don't know, even though we've mentioned a bunch of times before, Bill's brother, my uncle Dave, is a rock guitarist in Chicago, and that's been his whole job, his entire adult life, is playing rock guitar in Chicago and around the world. And one of the things that he was in a Beatles tribute band, and I believe he traveled all the way to the UK to play.
He did. Beatles Fest in Liverpool, they have that every year, and every year they invite 78, at least the year that David was there, 78 Beatles cover bands to come and play there, and they played 24/7 for a week. My brother's group played, about 5 or 6 times. You don't get paid for it, but you get this awesome free vacation. They pay airfare and a swank hotel room and whatnot. And one of the nice things about it, I think I mentioned this once before, is that they furnish all the instruments. One of the hard things about being in a group, you go out and you hear these concerts, on a Wednesday night, Tuesday night in this town, and Wednesday night in this town. They're playing music from a variety of artists, but they don't have each individual instrument that artist would play. So if you're playing the Beatles, you have to have a whole slew of guitars that Paul and George and John would be playing. And so David said this was great because they furnish all the guitars. David still took his 2 favorite guitars over there with him. But he's made a great living. He not only, besides rock, by the way, he plays blues, he plays heavy metal, he plays bluegrass. I think he's played drums before on a couple of things. He's a consummate musician, and he has really made a nice living off of playing that guitar and occasionally making guitars too. He's made guitars for Parker, high-end guitars. He actually took a guitar to Paul McCartney once. Paul wanted a guitar, and I'll take it over to him, whatever, okay. And a lot of times everybody knew that Dave was in the Chicago area, so if they were coming through and they needed something, they could call Dave, and Dave could run out and get them. Three Dog Night was up in Milwaukee, and they needed an extra guitar. And so they had Dave drive up there from Chicago with the guitar. And he stayed overnight.
I remember him saying the House of Blues was a pretty fun place to play because it's full of tourists and everybody's happy.
Yeah. They he for a while he was playing House of Blues like every 4 to 6 weeks. So he did all right with that. And I told you he got his first guitar when he was in 4th grade, and the guitar was bigger than him. It was a beautiful Fender Stratocaster that my father had gotten for him. And he really took off with it. I mean, he was a great guitarist by the time he was out of 5th grade. And partly self-taught. But I remember one time he was telling me, he says, I can do anything Clapton can do. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty good.
He really can play anything.
Mm-hmm. You ought to see him play mandolin and banjo. He played in a Fleetwood Mac cover band. And when you do that you have to be able to play banjo if you're lead. So, yeah, interesting.
Well, happy birthday to Paul McCartney, and we salute the Beatles.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful picture from Dave here.
Yeah.
Do we know where that is?
No. I think he told me, but no, we don't.
Might be a boat launch because there's a sign up there.
Mm-hmm.
But what a beautiful pic. Dave,
if you filibuster for long enough, I can try to look it up real quick.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's fine. But yeah, that's a beautiful pic. The sun sets as far northwest now as it ever gets during the course of the year, and it will start working its way back to the south.
Here we go. It's Lake Cadillac from Mitchell State Park.
Okay. Yeah, there's Lake Cadillac and Lake Mitchell,
Yeah.
the two big lakes around Cadillac there.
Driven through there many times.
Mm-hmm. As have I. Nice to have the expressway up there now because, when I first got here, you didn't have the expressway. It was a little slower going. All right. Well, certainly want to thank everybody for staying with us here until the end. Don't forget, could be a big severe weather day today, especially this afternoon. So stay with later forecasts as we try and pin down these storms as they develop and then move onshore and come through West Michigan. Hot weather on the way for the coming weekend, so make your plans that way too. Once again, more weather you can find on my YouTube channel here at Bill Steffen 616 and also at billsteffen.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.